at a recyclable computer this morning, so I thought. You know, sometimes when it gets too hot, they don't have the air.
My computer doesn't like the paper, and it's like. Well, it's
At a recyclable computer. We are live. We are live, but I'm going to put this on. I think that's how it goes. Oh, no. No. I'm back. See? When it works, it's great. When you, Deborah, I'm sorry, just give me a minute. Thank you. Okay, are we all here? Can everybody hear everybody? Osmond, you can hear? Everything's good?
I'm hearing.
Okay, good. We're on the record and good to go.
Okay.
All right, good. Welcome, everybody. It is Queens Community Board 2 Transportation Committee meeting on this Tuesday, June 4th. I am Chair Riley Owens. I am joined by District Manager Debbie Marco Kleiner, Maria. And we have a quorum tonight. We have a couple members on virtually, and we're gonna have a good meeting. I will start this with public comment. If anybody has signed up for public comment.
Anybody have a comment?
All right, moving on, we have a presentation by the MTA to begin. Are you ready? Hi.
Hello, I think we are ready. Good to see everyone again. I think most folks know me by now, but my name is Megan. I'm an Assistant Director for Government and Community Relations at New York City Transit. I'm joined by my colleague Hannah, who works for the Construction and Development. I'm also joined by members of our project team for 33rd Street and 56th Street. We have Deborah here and also YL. So thank you very much for being here tonight. We have a handful of updates for you. We're going to begin with a presentation on the ADA projects at 33rd Street, Rawson Street, and also 46th Street, Bliss Street. And then from after that, we have a quick update on the Crosstown CBTC that we said we would come back and deliver for you. So with that, I'm going to share my screen if that's all right.
Yeah, please. Thank
Okay,
you.
wait, can you share anything with this? Right. Can you see which one is me? Is that this one?
Yeah.
Yes.
make co-host. Oh, one more.
One more.
Hey, Megan, you got it?
Okay, I'll ask everyone just to listen to the presentation, write down any questions you may have, and hold them until the end.
I'm going to hand it over to Connor. Oh, she'll begin.
Oh, yeah, we also have, their paper copies, because we are anticipating.
Just in case there is out question.
You should be able to magnify your screen.
There's a couple more than here.
I need some.
No.
Sorry, one moment.
Mhm. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, so now it's really okay.
I gotta share it again.
Yeah, no, I know, we're having some technical issue. The sharing works fine, it's the computer.
I don't know if that's to do with AT&T, but AT&T just went down. Okay.
Okay, great. So we'll just see.
You can minimize the side window. if you want.
No, that's
A little
not,
flat, yeah.
that's not me. Oh,
That's us.
Yeah.
That's our sign.
Oh, you can move this one?
Yes, up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so my notes are pulling up, but I will just begin. So hello again. Thank you so much for your time. Again, my name is Connor Irvin. I'm representing MTA Construction Development. I'm here with Megan and of course folks from our PNC. So thank you. So we're presenting two stations here. The scopes are very, very similar. So I think for this first presentation, I'll do more in-depth explanations. And then for 46, we'll kind of breeze through it. But these two stations are part of ADA Package 5. That is our largest design build package that we've awarded to date. We awarded that in December of 2023. We're really excited about it. And this builds on the success of our design build package that we just finished this year. Very first design build package of ADA upgrades. We are at 4 stations and counting this year that we've completed so far. And this is part of 38 stations in construction currently. And we are really excited about the next capital program we'll be unveiling soon. That will have even more ADA commitments. And this current capital program that we're in now actually has, I think, at least 4 times upgrades than the previous one. We're very excited about this.
We're excited too, for the record.
For the record, we're very
Right.
excited.
We're excited too.
Okay, great. So to dive into the project scope here. So for ADA improvements, we have a number of them. We have 2 new street to platform elevators serving both sides, Manhattan and Flushing bound. 2 new street to platform stairs, again, in both directions. 4 mezzanine stair replacements. Directions. And those are directions. Oh, sorry. And we have a new ADA raised boarding area on each platform, as well as a new platform edge tactile strips as well as strips along the length. Okay, so for infrastructure improvements, we have 2 new speed level head houses. So those will include new fare control areas that will lead from the street up into the platform. We are also extending the platform canopy. So in order to make room for the elevators, we're going to be, just stop sharing. We anticipated this problem though, so don't even worry. That, okay.
Yes, yes.
Maureen, thanks for joining.
Hey, Maureen.
Don't worry, I'll be so
We'll
descriptive
keep
that you
going
won't
if
be
everyone
missing
has
anything. Yeah.
Oh, they could.
We'll leave it
And we'll share.
Put it in the chat.
No, we're on the scope now. It's ahead a lot. We're in the first page. Okay, great.
I'm waiting. I haven't. Okay, come on.
Control areas. To make room for these elevators, they're going to be slightly extended the platform, so that will also include an extension over that area. Also going to be improving lighting in the station and some fire alarm upgrades. And whenever we make improvements like this, we usually also touch the back of house space. So we're going to be making some HVAC upgrades to the back of house area where our employees sit. We have some other station environment improvements on these 2 stations. So we're going to be pedestrianizing under the station viaduct, just continuing the natural. Recording in progress. We're going to be continuing the natural pedestrian, the pedestrian plaza that's under there, just vibrant and it's a great community space. We're also going to be preserving the Q is for Queen stained glass windows on platform level, and that's at both stations. And we're also going to be preserving some historic features. What that means is really just the concrete viaduct, the color, the finishing, and the material, just to make it a seamless transition so that the new looks and matches what we have now. Okay.
I'm sorry, Chair. I was just checking if the presentation was gonna come back online. We don't have it
trying.
any longer.
We're attempting.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
thank you.
apologize. We're having trouble sharing.
No worries. I just want to make a note. Thank you.
Thank you. We are trying.
We are, and I may make a co-host again, Megan, and give you a
Okay,
host
okay.
again.
Okay, it's just our Wi-Fi connection's not strong enough to maintain the connection to Zoom.
Okay, so an overhead view of the project area, I'll be as descriptive as I can. So we're looking at Queens Boulevard and between 45th and 46th Street. So the overhead view just makes it easier to visualize. We have the green boxes are the new street platform staircases on the left-hand side, was that elevator queuing area. And then we have the new street to platform elevator, those blue boxes on both sides of the platform. That little box to the right of both of those, that's the platform extension I was talking about. And the relocated method of the platform stairs, there's 4 of those, 2 on each side. And those are the green boxes on 46th Street. And that larger box encompassing all of those additions, that's the parking lot under the viaduct. So that will be turned into a pedestrianized space, again, to just continue that flow of pedestrian plaza that already exists there. So that will also contain the new head houses with the fare control areas.
I can sort of guess, but could you tell me what is a head house and what the fare control areas, I think I can.
Yeah,
see them
we'll
more.
see some great renderings later, so.
Well, I mean, is it the operational?
Yeah.
The machine and.
Yeah, it's stuff like that, so we'll, if the end of the presentation doesn't explain it fully, then we can take questions and we have our PNC, you can answer. So the next slide. Just to move things along. She's doing 46. No,
Are you doing 33rd or 46th?
we're on 33rd.
Yeah.
Oh.
We've mentioned 40.
Yeah.
We didn't realize.
Sorry about that.
Nope.
I grabbed it. Okay, well, luckily, they're very similar, and I only need to redo one slide, sorry about that. Okay, it is,
33rd or 40.
It's 33rd, I'm so sorry.
46 here. You need a 33rd. You need a 33rd. 30, anybody else need 33rd?
okay, so 33rd Street, so we're not 46, we're at 32nd Place and 33rd Street, but virtually identical, so we have that large box with a dotted line that represents the pedestrianized area that is currently the parking lot. And we have the 2 street to platform elevators serving both directions, as well as the street to platform staircases and elevator queuing area. And then to the right side, we have those 2 staircases on both sides, the 4 boxes, which represent the relocated mezzanine to platform stairs. Okay, next slide. This shows the head house and stairway, so this will. So this is just some cross sections of the design, so you can see it from the street level. We just looked at it from the bird's eye view for folks on Zoom. You know, if we have questions about what's what here, we can go at the end of the presentation. Have the PNC engineer walk us through that. So we'll just go to the next slide. So some renderings. This is before and after comparisons. You can see the rendering. This is the viaduct. And this is looking west. So this is currently a municipal parking lot, and it'll be converted into that head house area and the fare control area, which is pictured to the right. Okay.
So people pay their fare at street level.
Yes,
And that way you don't have to have 2 separate dollars.
exactly.
Question. Should be improved.
This kiosk over here with the electronic display board, will that say how many minutes till the next train? So that the information will be available at street level?
I think so. I can ask and make sure. Do you know?
We don't.
No, we'll find out for you. Great. I'm trying to see what's.
The street level display, you said?
street level.
Yeah,
Are you-
it's helpful when you're at street level to know if the next train is far away, so you can decide if you wanna, walk or take
Yeah.
the bus or.
I just
the
don't,
bike.
I also screen.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Yeah.
sorry, any items or displays that are in the control area will be subsequently replaced or substituted. Will any devices in the fair control area will be subsequently replaced or substituted and the temporary or the permanent area that's going to be the new one. But yes,
Well, yeah, we'll get back to you about if that care control area contains contact clocks.
Perfect,
Yeah.
thank you.
I sort of think what you're really saying is that would be helpful, not, it isn't really, I need to know, I need to.
I think it should be a doorway that.
No, in the rendering, like, to the left over there, it looks like an electronic display kiosk.
Okay, we'll see if it's electronic or not. We'll find out and get back to you. Okay, so we'll just look through other renderings here. Whatever, it's been prepared. So this is a view looking east on Queens Boulevard. This is the flushing bound platform. And new stairs in the foreground, and you can see how it connects to that head house I was talking about. You can see the elevator tower right there. And in the to the right, the relocated stairs are in the background, and those go from the mezzanine to the platform. Next one. And this is the view looking west from Queens Boulevard. So this is the Manhattan bound platform. And the relocated mezzanine stair is in the foreground, and the new stair and the elevator is on the right side. There's a few more remnants to just go through. So this is the head house interior. That's showing the paid area between the fare gates, and that's the elevator that you can see the person in the wheelchair to the left about to enter, and the stair to the flushing down platform is in the foreground right there.
Page 8.
Yes, BJ.
I feel like I'm kind of an idiot. You don't be quick to agree. I still don't know what a head house is.
Okay,
I mean, I know what a head is. I don't think that's anymore.
yeah, I mean, think of it as just like a structure that contains a lot of elevator equipment. I'm just gonna let you continue to.
The head house is the place that you enter into to begin your journey at a station. We have them in railroads, subway stations, airports.
So in an overhead train like this, the head house, instead of being where.
Usually is
I think
upstairs
actually
in the
is at
mezzanine,
street level.
right, when you
Well,
come up the
street level too, you know?
So now in some stations, it'll be at the street, right? So it's the place you enter and you say, I'm now in the property of the MTA. I can pay my fare. I'm gonna go through the turnstile. There'll be mechanicals there. There might be a little waiting or
Yeah, and it's enclosed.
It's just the entry.
Yeah.
but it's more than an entrance. There's some kinds of facilities there. There's
Yeah.
mechanicals, electricals, those kinds of things there.
Yeah, we can
Um,
see, yeah, exactly that. There's the vending machines or, the MetroCard machines. All sorts of wonderful.
It houses a host of facilities, and the mechanicals, the provisions for you being able to take your journey.
To a bathroom.
There's the bathroom for the attendant and other emergencies. There's communications, all those kinds of,
Yeah,
right, it's the housing
yeah,
for the beginning of that journey, right? And many transportation facilities, that's what they call it, the head
It's
house.
standard
It's a
terminology.
standard
Yeah.
terminology, right? And it's not a stupid question at all, right? It's just, we are just used to calling it that, so.
we're here to explain all these engineering terms in human speak to you, so
Right.
please feel free to ask those questions.
And what was the other question you had? Fair what?
Well, the
Fair
fair,
control.
Fair control. The fare control is the turnstile or the gate
Yeah.
that control your entrance into the rest of the system.
So
And-
is the fare control, would you go through fare control in order to get into the head house or vice?
No,
versa?
the fare control is contained
Yeah.
within the head house.
In the head house.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, or sometimes in other places within the system, but Right, the first place you're gonna encounter it is in the head house.
Yeah, this is the head house right here. So if you look at this diagram, you can see all of that equipment that Deb was talking about is in there, and then the subsequent renderings show those like zoomed in pictures.
Thank you.
Before we carry on, I wanted to check if it's okay. I am able to drop the file in the chat and then folks at home can probably open it up and follow along that way if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So,
Call
yeah,
us
we'll get
again.
that upset.
Okay.
Now we're dropping the
Watching
file.
and giving you photos.
So tell them.
So we are now dropping the file in the chat so you can follow along on the presentation. We're currently on the 33rd Street, Rawson Street presentation.
What slide? Page number.
Yeah, we
Front
just
page
finished
nine.
9, finished 8 or 9. Where's the microphone for this? Is it just there somewhere?
I think there's a camera.
Yeah, there's a camera and a.
And there's a microphone there.
Oh, the microphone there?
Yeah.
Well, I think the microphone is actually on
No,
Debbie's.
over there.
Okay.
On
Great.
TV.
Okay, we are on slide 9. So this is the rendering showing the head house and stairs. This is the aerial shot. So this is showing the eastbound side of the platform and Queens Boulevard. And you can see the weather protected head house at the street level right there. And that's just the canopy that extends so that there's a covering on top. And our slide 10 shows the draft rendering. This is the platform level elevator entrance on the flushing bound side. So you can see that little, I want to say like maybe 10-foot bump right there. That's the platform extension that connects that elevator tower to the platform. That's the extended canopy I was mentioning right there. So it's just covering that extra area. And now for the construction timeline.
So the train stops at where the yellow line is, at that end of the train. It doesn't go past.
And there are, a few benefits to, when we met with accessibility advocates. Sometimes in a lot of stations, you have a very complicated elevator system where you have to go from street to mezzanine and then go a long way through the station and then go from the mezzanine to the platform. A lot of the benefit of these designs and a bunch of other designs in this package is that you go from the street, you go right to the platform. It's just so much easier for
Oh,
people.
I have to second that. I went with my son to Yankee Stadium, he's quadriplegic. And to get in and out, we had to do like something like 3 or 4 elevators down. And I said, why are we doing the fare control at a mezzanine level? Makes no sense. So this is,
But some
Here, here.
stations just don't allow for that
Yeah.
easy access. It's
Yeah.
just, there's some of the older stations
that
are
was
just,
Jerome Ave, right up by
Yeah.
Yankee Stadium.
Each station is so unique and built with completely different, in a different environment, at different times. So, but we love the, facilitation of at these stations. So to go into the construction timeline, we're currently in phases where we're just doing a lot of coordinating, a lot of preparation. So we're coordinating with our partners at the city, DOT, local utility companies, because we do some sort of utility rehabilitation, although I think it's very minimal here because we're not in as dense of a residential environment. That's ongoing. The coordination will continue throughout the entire lifetime of both these projects. The next phase is installing barriers of the maintenance and protection of traffic, which we abbreviate to MPT. That is probably the first visible sign you'll see of the construction at these stations. That just includes the work zone. And then shortly after that is installed, we're going to commence with the demolition, excavation, utility, and other construction work. And that will, again, start shortly after we have those barriers up until the end of the project, which will be substantially complete in Q3 2026. And just to address the asterisk, like why are we coming to you when we don't have these totally complete dates? We have these mid-June dates. The reason for that is back to what I mentioned in the first slide about this being a design build package. So that represents not just the way that the MTA is modernizing our physical infrastructure, bringing things up to ADA code, but also we're really revolutionizing the way we have these contracts and the way we're streamlining contracts to deliver projects better, faster, and cheaper, which is MTA Construction Development's catchphrase at this point.
I gather the phrase design build has a specific meaning. Maybe you might define that
I'm
one.
going to get into that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Can I
it,
just ask you a quick question? It says mid-June. So that timeline's being pushed further out, or are we starting mid-June for 2024? Because we're in,
We're almost there.
you know,
Yeah,
the
it's June.
4th day of June.
Yep.
So do we have an idea of when it's actually starting, and are you gonna notify the community board office?
We will definitely notify when we know exactly. Let me just get through this one explanation. No, it's a very good question, but yeah, I think this is an important explanation here. So this deviates from our traditional design bid builds in construction projects where the design is done by a designer. It is then bid out to a builder and then it is actually constructed. But with that, there are a lot of disadvantages when you compare it to design build. It facilitates a much smoother connection. It gives us a lot more flexibility too. We've had another subway station in Queens, I forget exactly where, I think in Jackson Heights, where it was a design build project. And what I mentioned about utilities, when we dig underneath New York City streets, we don't really know what we're gonna get into until we're under there because a lot of the utilities are completely unmapped. So you might have an idea of there's gonna be a water main here. With this project I'm mentioning, we thought it was gonna be, say, like 10 inches across. It was like 3 times that or something. And so that impacted the location of the elevator. Because it was design build and not design bid build, we were able to have that flexibility. We didn't have to go all the way back to the drawing board, to go to the original designer. Design build gets, the contractor is brought on earlier in the process. So both can happen sort of simultaneously. And because they're bought in on design, it's just a more flexible way to do contracting. But because of that, the contractor submits design in phases. So they submit it in 30, 60, 90, and 100% phases. So right now we're at 60%. In June, we're looking to do 90%, right? 90% will be submitted by soon.
This year.
Yeah, end of June. And that is just thinking of like the overall complete design, so they won't need to have the design 100% set in stone before they start installing that MPT. And like I said, it's better, faster, cheaper. It's faster, we can start doing some of this groundwork, we don't have to wait and get the rubber stamp until, we can do this groundwork and this prep work first, so. Does that sort of answer your question about?
Yes, because she said the end of June,
Yeah.
yeah, probably starts.
Very, so
But,
essentially.
but what Connor's about to tell you is that starting the construction work and starting the MPT, we wanted to give you this heads up.
Right, we appreciate that.
Yeah, so yeah, mid-June is probably the earliest, but I think at this point we're shooting for end of June.
Is the station gonna be completely shut down?
No. During every station in this package, the station will be completely shut down. There, if you look at the next slide. I don't know why I left it on this.
You are hoping.
So these next 2 slides, and then the last one will get into some service changes we might have to do here. So these are the 2 MPT phases. This is the first phase. This encompasses utility support and relocation and construction. And you can see that those red boxes are our work zones. And when you compare it to from the first to the second, you can just see the differences of like how we're moving along. This first phase is only going to last a few weeks. The second one is going to be for the majority of the project. So here, looking at travel. So if we're looking at Queens Boulevard, westbound and eastbound, you can see that parking lanes between 52nd Place and 35th Street will be temporarily removed here. And that's to accommodate for those work zones that will need to be placing either in the street or just along the side of the street. The black boxes represent the staging area. And again, we're doing this work, it's right under the viaduct. So this is really the only place where we can put these work zones. Westbound Queens Boulevard, that's reduced to 2 lanes only during the overnight work. And we can get into more of those phases in I think 2 slides later. And you can see that the traffic is sort of diverted around the work zone. So there's going to be 3 lanes of traffic on the eastbound side, just curving around our work zones. And again, on the westbound side, there's going to be, it's going to be reduced to to make room for that staging area in the work zones. So we're also maintaining access to sidewalks and crosswalks at all times, so during a lot of these projects, we'll create like a temporary sidewalk around a work zone. I don't think we need to do that here just because we're in Oak Boulevard. We will have to relocate the Q32 and the Q60 bus stops. And we're still in conversation with New York City Transit about where exactly that will be.
Why is that?
Because,
But there's only 2 lanes.
yeah, so because we're reducing traffic here to two lanes because of this work zone area. Right, so this is like a taper off to accommodate for this. We could keep the bus stops and reduce it down to 1 lane of traffic, but I feel like that's gonna be a lot more difficult. And I think the Q32 and Q60 bus stops, that's typically at the suggestion of New York City Transit, just because they know the maps and the rights of the buses. I know in other projects, I asked the same question. I asked them like, oh, why are we just removing this or relocating it? And they said, oh, it's because there's one with 400 feet, like down the block or something. So they do their own calculations. I can ask again when we have design finalized where they're going to be relocated, but that is signed off by, buses. So they obviously coordinate very closely with projects.
Also, are you coordinating with DOT on the street improvement project for Queens Boulevard in this area? Great.
Yes.
We
made parking underneath, yeah. I think that came up last time we were here.
Oh, it was
Forget.
presented last time we were here.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the protected bike lane?
Yeah.
And we're set to meet with them in the field, next week to discuss coordination.
Right, yeah.
Are you trying to get a lot of your work done before they start that, or?
That's not gonna be likely, given their timeline and hours, but we will try to work around each other, so both projects can proceed at the same time.
And do we get to hear when you work together on?
It's really a matter of just like phasing, so it just depends on what they need to accomplish and how we need to work around them and vice versa. So I don't have details to share on that, but I can tell you that we're in constant coordination and that to that end, we will be in the field to discuss what they need and the next hour work.
Because it seems like your work in some way contradicts what we heard last week.
What do you mean?
As far as the page, as far as the parking goes. They would, you're gonna be taking away parking from the parking lanes on the boulevard and with the presentation said they could go and walk underneath the L.
Right.
But now you're gonna be taking parking away from the L.
If I can just interject, we're not gonna be taking away we're just moving the parking lane out. But because of this MPT that they're doing, it's gonna be temporarily moved, but then placed back once that project is completed.
But didn't it say that you're gonna pedestrianize?
That's under the viaduct. So that is the second and last phase of MGT.
Yeah.
I don't quite know what DOT's timeline is.
Yeah, so, we're gonna be discussing all the logistics next week at the onsite. We're gonna be figuring out what needs to be done in terms of, getting the street up to good condition, and then how we can work around the project there. There's a lot of details we still need to iron out with this.
Okay.
One last question, quick question. When you do the detouring of the sidewalk, do you consider putting ramps or curbs? Because many times I reach that end and I have to go back.
Are we going to be refinishing the curb cuts on this project?
You mean at the street level?
Yeah, at the very end of the project, are we adding any curb cuts? I know we're doing that in other stations, we're doing that here. We'll get back to that. I'll write that down. Yeah, or double write that down.
In terms of the art getting relocated, did we already ask about that?
We're not on that one yet.
Oh, sorry, I know.
And I would say we're getting that diverted a lot. Let's listen to the presentation where a lot of the answers
Sorry,
are
that's your-
found within and hold our questions
Yeah.
for the end as much as we can.
Great. Okay, so construction and service impacts.
I do have one question, sorry. Did we say how long phase one? Sorry, before we turn, how long phase one would last?
A few weeks.
A few weeks,
Yeah,
okay,
so
thank you.
the other, second phase is the majority of the project. Okay, great. So,
And how long is phase two?
the entirety of the project minus a few weeks. So it's the entire length of the project minus the few weeks that phase one is.
About almost 2.5 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2.5 years.
2.5 years. Okay, so, the majority of this construction will occur during DOT approved hours, that's from 7 AM to 4 PM, this is very standard construction shift. There will be some evening work required here, mostly to minimize impact to rush hour traffic. The evening shift will be from 3 to 11. Just please note that we do our absolute best to staff any work that could be noisier during the daytime, because we know that
You said 7 to 4.
it's on this slide. Okay. Yep, it's 7 to 4. Oh yeah, so we always stack all of the work that could be potentially disruptive or is just noisier during the daytime, so as not to disturb the community and just to be the best neighbors we can be here. We also have a variety of noise monitoring and of course, like just noise mitigation that we use. We can use noise or sound blankets. We can also use enclosures, but again, when the design is totally finalized, we can let you know what our exact mitigations, what exact mitigations will be in place there. And of course, when we do need to do evening work, we are looking to start that, we will notify you well in advance. The stair closure, that will be occurring in 3-month increments between, April 2025 and April 2026. That's because we're going to be, replacing those stairs fully, and those will be replaced to ADA, standards as well. So we're not closing them off at the same time to keep passenger flow. We're gonna be doing them one at a time during construction, and just phasing them out. And during the elevator construction, the platforms will require some limited closures, and that's mostly for the platform level, adjustments and upgrades I mentioned. So those ADA boarding areas and the platform edge tactile strips. As you can imagine, you can't be boarding the train while we're doing that work, so we need to shut down service. We do one side at a time typically, so the station will never be shut down 100%. If you need to go, like, you might need a back ride, so you might need to bypass the station and then ride back in the next direction. But we will, we have limited weekend work and weekday mid-work closures, and during that weekday work, that's typically just finishing like painting and electronics testing. So customers can usually just expect just greater headways in between trains, but that platform edge will be completely shut down. And again, we will make sure to tell the community well in advance before this happens. Okay. And okay, urban design impact. So this is virtually identical to the next station we're going to cover, 46th Street, but there are 4 really beautiful stained glass windows on the platform level. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think they're on the platform.
There.
Yeah. So those will be removed and stored and then protected and reinstalled somewhere. I think they're probably just going to be reinstalled like farther down along the platform, but we'll let you know when we have design completely finalized. And we need to remove these, relocate those mezzanine to platform stairs that we saw on some of the renderings earlier in the presentation. And our final slides, we have the project outreach, contact information. I guess. Okay, so Megan will type in the project hotline and the project email for folks who are on Zoom. But you all have this here in front of you. That's public. Feel free to use that. You know, disseminate to the community. Just please note that the hotline is not for emergencies. And if folks call or leave a voicemail, our PMC team will get back to you within about 24 hours during the weekday. And the last slides are really just the very, very technical high-level drawings that we always put here. And we can answer some questions now if people have them, or we can just dive into 46th Street. We've got a lot of questions done in the middle of the presentation. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so thank you for this, really exciting. So given that there's gonna be this expanded head house, is there space to incorporate either a bathroom or secure bike parking?
That is not in the contract right now, so I would say just based on the contract alone right now, unfortunately, no. I will share a fun city fact that the mayor just announced that they're gonna be building a lot more public bathrooms. I think they're building, so it's like six, yeah, around, it's a lot of them are gonna be either refurbished or reconstructed, but they're gonna be building more, so that's great, but there's not gonna be new bathrooms here.
Okay, but if, there's space available in the design, could we put in for that?
So all of the space that's in the head house is being used, like if there's not gonna
Okay,
be,
there is.
yeah, unfortunately, there's not just like empty space, it's either machine rooms or, and also I think if you see here, it's not really that big, like it is big compared to what is on the street now, which is 0 head house, but it's really just like that small hallway for the elevator, there's that fare control area, and there's the, the staircase, that's really it.
Okay, and yeah, obviously this is secondary to accessibility and just getting the construction done, but it looks like this project does create a lot of new surfaces, which could be great opportunities for additional public art. Would it be possible to put in for that now or identify ways to,
Yeah, so really, we're not really creating that much more space that is programmable in that way. And the reason that I know that is because we've tried to do art on, like really the only space for expanding is like that metal structure, right? We have tried to do art and it's very, very difficult to either attach it in the right way where it can be, it needs to be cleaned or if it needs to be repaired or something. So it's really hard to share any sort of like permanent or temporary art on this kind of like metal structure.
Put murals, I mean, look at this area here.
We don't typically tend to do something like that because it invites graffiti to the infrastructure. So it'll be more maintenance to make sure that the mural remains graffiti.
Yeah, also the viaduct actually is not gonna be touched that way, so. Yeah, sorry about that, but we are keeping the state glass edge there.
Right, or what about incorporating like solar panels on any new roof space, like on top of the elevator shafts?
I mean, it's not part of the design, we're writing all this down just to see, but other than just know.
Fair enough.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, I just wanna
These
ask.
are really
in-
good ideas, though, I
case
really
or-
like these ideas.
Greenery.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You always come up with those good ideas.
Yeah.
So if I may, I think generally speaking, so IDT has an arts and design program, right? There are very strict parameters around what that means in terms of commissioning art. We're working on it system-wide, paying attention to opportunities and themes as well. There's been a lot of interest, I think, to bring public art to this space, specifically along the 7-line viaduct. I know we bring also from the local bid. So I'm gonna bring it to their attention. So I think in the spirit of all these improvements that we're bringing to the line, people want to see more color and light. But we have to see, I think, what's capable within an existing program guidelines for arts and design. I think between what we're capable of and perhaps what DOT is able to do as far as like their public art programs, maybe there's opportunities there. But as far as this particular contract and scope, we won't be able to bring anything under this umbrella for right now.
And then I believe Croatia and her arts and culture are having
Yes.
somebody come.
They are, yes.
And these pedestrianized area, like there's already a lot of nice community arts oriented programming that happens there. I think that will allow for like a little bit more space. And that's not run by the MTA, it's run by community groups and bids and stuff. So
Can you explain the function of the mezzanine? And I mean, is there a middle area that, I mean, or is there? Is that gone?
we're not affecting the mezzanine with the
What is the
ADA
purpose of
upgrades.
I mean, it's just, so, for instance, if you have to cross those
The
tracks.
station master will still be up
What?
there. The station master will still have space up there.
Yeah, we're not, we're not making modifications to the mezzanine here. I don't understand.
No, I'm just curious, what's its function at this point? That might be where a bathroom. Well, you'd have to pay a fare to get there.
Yeah, I mean, the mezzanine, when we use function, I mean, this is very highly used by a lot of passengers who don't need the elevator, so they'll go up the stairs with the mezzanine, the paint area, that's where the station agent is.
But there's, I mean, there are fewer station agents these days in subway stations anyway, it seems, aren't there? I mean, what are they, well, they're not standing in their little areas.
Oh, yeah, so that's an initiative that New York City Transit has piloted and it's been successful where the station agents can free roll a little bit more. And it's helpful because, you know, there might be someone who's in need of directions and they don't know to come to the booth or just, you know.
But the fare is being collected at street level.
Yes, that's correct. So there are CCTV cameras and in those fare areas and back me up, I think this is, yeah,
Yes,
from other parts.
You want the applications? There will be CCTVs on,
Can you
facing the
speak up,
turnstiles. Yes, absolutely. There will be cameras, right directed at the entries and exits, exit gates, turnstiles, if there is a high entry exit turnstiles as well. As well, of course, in the elevator cabinets, outside the elevator, and by the booth.
Yeah, and that, like, it's like, we call it E2CS, but it's basically a really helpful and new, innovative, communication system. So it's two-way, so that if someone is in the elevator and they need help or they're stuck or anything, they can always reach the station agent. They can reach our central command system too, I think. But they have a way to communicate with them. So, you know, if you're in that head house area, there will be a way to communicate with the station agent. So if they're not, they don't have anything floating around exactly where help is needed at that moment.
But just to clear something up, the current mezzanine and stairways to the mezzanine are going to stay pretty much the same. The elevator is being put at the end of the platform. It's a completely new entrance.
Yes, it's the
Yeah.
complete, yeah, the new, well, the elevator is gonna be, meeting the level of the platform where we're making that very small extension. That's how we're fitting it
Yeah.
there. But the mezzanine to platform stairs, we are going to be, in. let me see,
We're rebuilding.
If you look at shots
I see like page
9 and
Yes.
7, yeah, so. Yeah, you can see that we are reconstructing 4 stairwells, 2 on both sides, so those lead from the mezzanine to the platform.
Why are they being reconstructed on the outside like that?
I don't know why, what's the design reason for constructing them on the outside?
On
It's like this big. Easier
that's to bring it to up to ADA's,
to make sense of that living.
But the original mezzanine? The stairways they're not currently on the outside.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
In order to bring them up to ADA
Up to
standards, they're going to be a little bit different. Maybe each stair, each step.
Oh, I think it's also just we have to widen them
Gotcha.
quite a lot, and I know right now they're super
Yeah,
narrow.
yeah.
Yeah, they're very
I
narrow.
would appreciate that.
So they're gonna take up more space.
Yeah.
Just to go to the Zoom, Tom, you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Regarding the concrete facade, I see a lot of work occurring on the outside, and my question is, do we have any concerns with the concrete facade and repairs being needed? And if so, will they be done in an aesthetically pleasing way as opposed to just patchwork?
Are we making a lot of repairs to the foundation? I don't think we're making repairs to the viaduct.
No.
Yeah, we're not affecting the viaduct facade.
Oh, okay. From the renderings, it appeared as if we were attaching items to the outside facade. And I was just wondering if any of that work would damage the concrete facade.
Oh, so so the external stairs that we were just talking
Yes.
about, that would be coming along the outside and going up to the platform. But the historic features that we're mapping here at the station, that's something I mentioned at the beginning of this scope. That is the color and the finish and the texture.
Okay. Well, we're not drilling into the concrete then.
No,
No.
and just so you know, on page 11, where it says variant and the MPT, the maintenance and protection of traffic, this also covers, maintaining the outside look as well.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. You answered my
Well-
question.
Quick follow-up question. So I thought we were widening the stairs, on the existing stairs.
Yes,
So doesn't that involve drilling into the concrete?
no, I think the designers will have solutions for that.
So. Because I'm looking at the rendering and the external stairwell that's being added there is just on the, second level. It's,
And you're looking at page,
it's not, doesn't have a number on it, but it's, page,
The page numbers are all the way to the right hand side.
oh, it doesn't have numbers.
46.
46.
46, that's right.
We're still. I'm looking at the wrong thing all the time. Sorry, guys.
You want to join us at the table, Corey?
Sure,
One
yeah.
of these chairs?
I'll walk around.
Well, there's also.
If you can squeeze in.
Yeah.
Oh, no, my bad.
Is that okay with you?
Wires and fans and things.
What about this, chair?
Here?
Uh,
Oh, there?
That's our-
Yeah, there you go. You want to-
Actually, we'll stay on screen.
Okay, you wanna move on to 46?
Yes.
Well,
Wait, one more
I do have a
question.
question as well, yeah.
So the new pedestrian space that's not in the house, is that under MTA jurisdiction or DOT?
It's pretty.
It's a municipal parking lot. I think it's owned by DOT right now.
Yeah, any of
Yeah.
the lots are DOT.
Yeah, but in the rendering, like just still the block between 32nd and 33rd. Once the project is complete.
That newly pedestrian.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that used to be the lot. That's the municipal lot, but it's getting pedestrian. It'll still be under DOT.
still be under DOT.
Yeah, if,
Okay.
if
We're
there's
not
a-
buying it off.
it'd be the same
Higher.
situation as like any other city agency that would have infrastructure in DOT space. It's just, they manage just the infrastructure, but we still have the space itself.
Right, is what I was gonna ask is, would it be possible to allocate areas for street vending? And it's a matter of like who we would, yeah.
It's a question for.
Yeah, that would like
city,
do
yeah.
DOT, but
Sure.
that's the conversation.
Fair enough.
Or
we can have.
DCWP.
Because I know that there is vending in other MTA spaces and,
Oh, the retail
yeah,
spots? No, yeah.
oh,
We have enough problems trying to get people to occupy our retail spaces as it is. So.
My question on the same note is, just to say, it is very rare that we get new pedestrian space in this part of the world. So I don't think we should just glance over the fact that we are getting a new pedestrian space. I think that maybe we should ask the residents what we might want, which I think includes restrooms, benches, probably plants, trees, artwork. Not just a bland space where, I guess we do want people to move because it is a subway station, but it seems bigger than that, through these renderings. And it does seem like there is a lot of space from one block to the other to get some restrooms in here for such a large project to take several years. So I think this committee should talk about maybe asking for a restroom to be added to this project, however that may happen, as a design for the project. But also you might do a survey, to our neighbors to see what we might want in a new pedestrian space. Because we are an area lacking in parks.
one more thing. This station is very heavily used by LaGuardia Community College students and a lot of, it seems like the elevator and the stairs orient away from the college. So it's just, anything we can do to, I guess, make it seamless, from a wayfinding standpoint, easy to see everything, coming from Thompson.
In terms of signage or?
Yeah, signage, but, and then of course we can talk to DOT about curb cuts and crosswalks and.
Okay, yeah, we'll
Yeah.
note that. You know that it's heavily used by LaGuardia Community College.
Yeah,
Okay.
to do additional outreach with the college, of course, because many students would obviously benefit from the accessibility of.
additional signage and what else?
Just wayfinding for. Okay,
Well, I would think the entrances too should be at least one of them at that end, at the western end of the station, because isn't the western end closest to the college?
Yeah, so the elevator is,
Right,
Yeah.
that's what we,
At the
I don't know
western
if
end.
that's the case right now. I had you mentioned here that you've just completed a design and build project somewhere. Where is that?
That's our very first design build package of ADA upgrades. So we're
And?
really excited about that.
Where is it?
It's all over the place. It's, man, I'm gonna try so hard to, off the top of my head. It's, I think in all 5 boroughs. It is, at 7th Ave, FG in Park Slope. It's 181st Street in Manhattan. It's, I'm not gonna be able to do it off the top of my head, but it's 8 stations and, it's a huge milestone for us.
Oh, I mean, I think it'd be neat to know where those are, so we get a vision of what the result of this approach is. It's coming up with
Off
an
the top of my
answer.
head.
It's an earlier package that we weren't necessarily working on, but we'll look it up and we'll share the information in case you want to send some that those completed.
Yeah, I want to just go around the table.
Yeah.
And just couple questions. Phase 2, street level work, the parking is still temporarily removed. Is that removed for the entire 2-year process of phase 2?
yes.
Yes, so the parking lot is going away, plus the street level parking for those 2.5 blocks,
Mhm.
just so we're clear, because it is a major capital project, and you need space.
Yes.
All right, and I just also want to say that this is very exciting. I love the design. I love that the elevator goes from street level to the platform. I love that all of this is happening. And the number one thing that people ask about with subway platforms is elevators. So I'm very, very glad that MTA is doing this and that design.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Wait, actually, one more.
Uh-huh.
Do you know the dimensions of the new elevators?
That would be a question for our engineer.
Yes, I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's the elevator glass or metal?
It's made of both.
But so it's paint glass.
Oh, yeah.
Outside.
The panes are gonna be glass.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll have metal.
But when you test, when a wheelchair is tested, you take into consideration various wheelchair brands, like power wheelchair, scooters, mobility scooters, big
Yeah.
ones, small ones.
Yeah, it is to ADA code, so whatever the federal government has dictated, we build to a certain standard, that is what we're building to. And I think I actually have package 1 information. No, I can't, I'll get back to you on that though. We're a huge package 1. Okay, we'll go to 46th Street.
Yeah, please.
We were able to successfully upload the file for 33rd Street, 46th Street, and also the CDTC update, so those are all in the chat for folks at home. So we just have 2 more presentations to get through and then we'll be out of your hair.
All right, and on that note, we have 1 hour left in tonight's meeting. So
We'll race through 46.
we have gone
It's
through
very
many, many
similar.
questions, which will probably be similar to what we asked.
Yeah.
That question about the size of the elevators, my son in his wheelchair weighs 600 pounds.
Yeah.
And he's, when I get close and he says, be careful, because he's back over your foot, you're in trouble. So
Yeah.
I think you want to have enough room.
Yes, yeah. There are large ones, there are small ones.
Yeah.
Like they accessible over and they have a little just size of the wheel, like a regular.
Yeah, yeah. I have to say, he got on the 4 train after the Yankee Stadium game let out. I thought that was amazing.
Go on that little elevator across the other avenue.
Oh, it was at all, I mean, it was a maze of elevators. Yes, it was great. The train itself. was very crowded.
the presentation?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay, wonderful. So I'm gonna skip my whole spiel about this thing design build package, but just as exciting and just as efficient. The project scope, so again, extremely similar, actually exactly the same here.
everything here is the same number of street to platform elevators, and stairs, and we're reconstructing for mezzanine platform stairs from both sides. Again, ADA raised boarding area, platform edge tactile strips, 2 new street level head houses with fare control areas, with the extension over that new section of the platform, HVAC lighting, fire alarms, upgrades, expanding pedestrianization under the viaduct, and preserving and relocating queues for clean stained glass windows, and matching those historic features of the concrete viaduct. And so now for the overview. So you can see that large shaded square with the dotted lines on the left-hand side, that's the parking lot, that will be the new pedestrian area. The 4 green squares on the right, those are the relocated mezz to platform stairs. On the left, there's the new street to platform staircases. The blue squares are the elevators. And that clear square on the right, that's the extended platform area that we're also going to be covering with the new canopy extension.
So there's no longer 47th Street?
What?
Without a plaque, now you can, there's a stairway on 47th Street to go up and down from the plaque.
We're not touching that one. On 47th Street,
The north end, isn't it over 46 to 47th Street?
if there's, I don't think there's more stairs.
If there's,
If there are, then we're
they're
not,
not endorsing, not.
I don't think there are.
Yes, correct.
So those stairs are gonna stay old then.
Yes, yes. We have the cross sections, again, very similar to 33rd. We have the before view of the station. This is from Queens Boulevard. This is eastbound. This is looking eastbound, and this is the Flushing bound platform. And then the other side is looking east on Queens. This is on Queens Boulevard. This is the Flushing bound platform. And the new stairs in the foreground, that's the one that goes from the street to platform. And the relocated ones are in the background that go from mezz to platform. Here we have the view looking west from Bliss Plaza. And the next slide is the graph rendering of the new elevator street entrance. So those are the head houses that you can see in the pedestrianized area that the folks are walking through. Yep. And then the next slide is the platform level elevator entrance with that extended canopy. And now we're at the construction timeline.
I'm still back on page. Sorry, I don't see the page number, so where are these vertical elements, and it looks like the sort of corridor under the viaduct? What are those for?
They're really bollards.
I know, but what are they, why did they put them in as, they're not there to the floors here?
I don't know, it's used usually in pedestrianized areas. I'm not, it's a draft rendering, so I'll see if that is the final design.
You know, and that whole area of 46th Street is frequently used as a community gathering space, especially in inclement weather. So if you're planning an event and the weather's a little sketchy, you know that you can use that space,
Well,
but those
That-
bollards might not.
well, it now is a parking lot, so people aren't congregating in the
At
parking lot.
46th Street?
That,
Just
that
the plaza.
Yeah, the plaza I'm talking about, that's.
This is not the.
No, this is
No, but you're
not,
not looking at but that
plaza.
area, that rendering is not the plaza. That is what is currently the parking lot under the viaduct.
this is between 45th and 46th.
So there won't be a parking lot there after the renovation?
Yes,
You're
they
taking
will
away
be.
the parking or no?
That parking lot under the viaduct, that will be turned, that will be pedestrianized, just like 33rd Street.
That's what I said. The DOT, you're giving up the space of parking over there? Since it's under the viaduct and it's owned by DOT? Question mark?
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
either put the head house there or put it smack in the middle of Queens Boulevard. build an elevator.
I think the question is, head house aside, the section in front of the head house where the bollards are right now, that's also pedestrian. So just to clarify, I think.
Yes. I can find out like how many feet that is to put it.
And how many
into scale.
parking spaces they could be taking away? Can you let us know?
I think it's about 30 in total.
Between the two projects?
I think so. I'll check.
See, that's what I meant by it contradicting the last week's presentation about the Plymouth Boulevard redesign. That underneath the L was supposed to maintain, and it was going to be changing to 4-hour meters under there.
Right.
They're taking meters away from.
Oh.
the
Not sure about
boulevard.
that.
So in a lot of sections there are 4-hour meters, but that's still an ongoing discussion whether any changes we're gonna make to the parking regulations there.
But they're saying that they're taking it away to become pedestrianized.
Yeah, because they need that space to begin with for the elevators anyway.
So they're saying it's giving up that parking space to the MTA, is that it?
They said it still stays under DOT.
Yeah, the space
That's
is,
not what they're saying. I want to hear from the agencies.
yeah, of course. So to make space for the elevators, there's gonna have to be a conversion of the parking spaces that are there. So that's the case there.
The DOT is giving up those parking spaces under the viaduct to MTA to build this project.
No, we are using their space to build our project.
Yeah, similar to,
The MTA is using DOT space to build the project and DOT is taking away the parking space. I just want to know.
Parking is being given up for elevators.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
similar to,
Yeah.
if you've ever seen,
Well,
similar.
then who maintains the space is my question.
It's still, so we.
Which agency? Because now it's gonna go like this.
So we maintain
it
a
is-
certain radius outside of our
30
actual 3 feet around
Yeah.
our actual entrance.
Yeah.
And that's for any subway station, but the rest of the plaza will be DOTs.
Yes, that was still.
Yes.
It's,
But
if
a lot
you,
of disabled people use cars to get there,
yeah,
to
there
get
was
to
still
the
be,
elevator or
There will still
something.
be parking.
there will still be other adjacent lots, the entire,
It's like you're hurting people from one side. Well, and helping others from one, so it's like.
I suppose.
yeah, so the entire length of Queens Boulevard does have those lots, so it's only giving up this
For
one
some
portion of
disabled
those lots.
people drive, they can park there and take that elevator.
Yeah, there's more parking.
There's still parking
Elsewhere,
available in
yeah.
the area. We're not taking away all of the parking. It's a matter of being able to reduce the number of stations along the line that aren't currently accessible and.
You said about 30, but.
30 cars.
An elevator
I'm not-
substantially more people
Yes.
than a handful of parking spots.
Are you saying that some of the parking, if it were handicap parking, would solve that
Yeah.
problem? So maybe you should reserve some of the,
Yeah. so-
whatever remaining spaces there are for a person like yourself in your van.
Yeah, like I want to
Yes.
drive to Flush, I park my car
Right.
in that elevator.
Right.
If the train is accessible.
Yeah, right,
We can-
exactly.
Yeah, so we cannot take all the parking spots, but
Well, yeah,
people need cars.
Of course,
I mean,
and
it will be
we'll
adjacent
definitely can look at
lots.
like rebalancing the spaces if there's a need to have a relocation of handicap spaces. That is required regardless, so that is something we can help balance.
And businesses need people to park their cars.
Can I ask a question? So I'm looking at the two renderings, and it seems like the head house for 33rd Street is considerably longer than the head house for 46th Street. But I see the viaducts are pretty standard in dimensions, so, you tell me like, why one needs to be larger than the other?
Are you looking at page 5 on 30?
Yeah, Route 5 on 33rd Street one.
Are the head houses the same, like,
Yeah.
length at 33rd versus 46th?
Yeah.
I just wanted to-
No, I was curious why.
He just said they look longer at 33rd Street.
They look longer at 33rd Street, is it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll pull up the CAD drawing, maybe it's just a perspective thing.
Yes, I don't have the exact. yeah.
Look at the very end.
Yes, I can get back to you with the exact dimensions for both, how large are they, how large is each.
No, I'm just curious, why the designs differ, since it seems like the viaducts are fairly standard at both stations, right?
Not necessarily. It depends on a lot of aspects, and typically the designer made the decision on consulting NTA. One station to another, might have different volume of traffic, different, devices, items that to be added in. It's actually, I don't think it's even, it might be not that easy to find two stations that's very identical.
Yeah.
Inside some, this,
Actually, looking at these CAD drawings, it shows where the work zones are, but it's actually very difficult to see like what the final layout is gonna look
yeah,
like.
this was,
Yeah, okay, let's go through the presentation and then we'll do more things at the end.
Sure. Thank you. Yes, let's go through the presentation. Save your questions for the end.
Unless you have one, like you did last.
I do have.
Your last- Okay, our usual, like, job law person is, I think he's out of the country, so, we'll get those questions answered. What slide? are we on? Okay, construction timeline, right? Yep. Yes, there is construction timeline. Okay,
Did we look at this rendering, showing the elevator? That looks different from the other one.
how does that look different?
Doesn't it? It's not at the end of the platform?
It is at the end of the platform.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that little area is the extension with the extended canopy. Okay, so to go over the timeline, it's very similar. We're coordinating with DOT, as you can tell from these projects, a lot of DOT coordination, and other agencies as well as utility companies. We're gonna be installing, MPT and again, around mid-June. And shortly after, we will send the demo, excavation, utilities, and construction work. And that will be until the end of the project, which will be substantially complete in Q3 2026. And similar notes about, this is design builds. We don't have, we're still waiting for 90% drawing, we're at 60% right now. So we have 100, we'll be able to give you more exact numbers. And I think like renderings, you should take with a grain of salt as well. Like I'm constantly talking to our design builder, Doug Law. I was just talking to him today, he was like, I have new renderings I have to give you. So they update those as they submit for final, works for the drawings.
Yeah, mostly just comes out of the hope that we can get secure next storage or something added in the final design. But actually a question about service disruptions. So both these projects will occur simultaneously?
Yes.
June, so is there a chance that both 33rd and 46th Street could be closed in the same direction at the same time?
Possible.
Can we request that be avoided if possible?
Figuring out our plan service changes really depends. It's a delicate balancing act between other work that's happening along the line. Our planning team works to minimize inconveniences as much as possible, so we will share that with them. I think the main goal for us tonight is to let you know that there's obviously going to be a heavy presence from the MTA over the next couple of years in order to deliver these projects. Anything concerning exact detail when it comes to full mobilization, utility relocation, plan service changes, MPT shifts, all of that will be communicated when it's actually finalized. So when we have a better sense of what those bypasses are going to look like, what our footprint's going to be, how it's going to change, how long it's going to last, all of that will be sent out to you as soon as we know. For the time being, and being mindful of boards, the meeting cycle breaking for the summer, we wanted to get in front of you to let you know, expect a heavy presence from us over the course of the next year or so. So I understand that there's more detail that you're looking for. We're making note of that. And we'll communicate that to our operations planning folks. But like I said, they work to minimize inconveniences as much as possible. We also try to stack work. So if we're working on the same type of infrastructure in one area, we're going to want to do the same thing somewhere else. So that might lead to the bypass happening at the same time.
Certainly.
We have to be mindful of holidays. weekends.
Absolutely. Games, all of that. Absolutely.
And there's a lot of work happening on the 7 line right now. We're making massive improvements along the Flushing line, so. We have an entire landing page, it's interesting to read about it, so this obviously falls under that, but that's again, like OP is operations planning at the MTA. I'm from CMD, construction and development. As you can imagine, there's sort of a push-pull where we want to get as much work done as quickly and as efficiently as possible. OP wants to run as much service as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So there's constantly like give and take there to find that balance, like Megan was saying.
So, obviously, I want the work to be completed as soon as possible, so I appreciate, the efforts made to make work move quickly. The one thing I'd ask the operations team to consider is that if 33rd and 46th are closed in the same direction with through headways due to work, we're gonna see a lot of crowding 40th Street. So maybe replacement buses might be a consideration.
They take that into account automatically. If there's a need, we find that we're gonna be displacing a lot of customers and it calls for a shuttle bus operation, all of that's considered. at the
Because
time.
you were advising people to ride past and ride back.
Well, it's
one option,
generally
yeah.
an
Yeah.
option,
Back right
but
here.
that's what it calls for. A larger operation that could cause for more displacement and requires that support via buses is something that we absolutely consider all the time.
Which leads us into our next
Wait,
presentation.
good question. It seems like at platform level, most of the work is concentrated all the way at one end. Seems, yeah, typically the westernmost end. Would it be possible to just roll off that part of the platform, but still let trains stop there?
I think we're going to be doing platform technology strips on the entire length. So yes, so we have to close off one side at a time.
Got it. Okay.
And like along the 7, we've been doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, all throughout, like since last
We've
summer,
noticed.
a lot of that.
Sure
like,
you
out,
have.
one side at a time, express local, so. Okay. Really do
Yeah.
our brief CBTC.
If there are no further questions
do.
on either, you have a question?
Yeah, I want to get back to 47th Street. Because that platform runs all the way to 47th Street. So if you're gonna have it renovated and looking nice and new and new stairs on one end of the platform, and then you're gonna have old time ruddy stairs, old looking platform for one block. It doesn't jive artistically, environmentally, probably, it's.
Well, the entire length of the platform will be getting the same treatment in terms of that platform technology strip. So that will be a new feature of the entire length. There are stations in this package where we are not touching every single staircase. That is true.
We have mechanism to perform stair repairs outside of ADA contract, so I'll take a look back and see whether.
Plus it'll look really weird.
I understand,
Yeah.
so I'll look back to see what's in the pipeline, if anything, for anything that might not be
No,
addressed
as long as they're
under.
there,
Right, but there's something to be said about the specific scope, which is mainly the elevators. We do stair repairs where we can, and we have mechanisms outside of ADA projects to introduce stair repairs at the station. So I will check to see whether any other contracts might address remaining stairs at the station.
And also with the stairs, like we need to stagger the closures, so because we are gonna be completely relocating and rebuilding the stairs, so. I imagine like that would be another egress and we have to put into the balance, so.
I mean, it's good that it's there, but, it should look like the others.
It's pretty well hidden. It's like, I understand there's not a lot of money going around, so if you're picking.
It takes the
It's
accessibility.
almost
It's-
like, like in 1 year, we should have,
I would love to get a completely beautiful new station.
I'd love to get a completely beautiful new elevator.
How about this?
But one other
It's nice
thing,
to see elevators.
Sunnyside shines the bid that maintains the
Yeah.
46th Street Plaza, just got a grant for some public space
Yeah.
improvements, yes, so you
Yes.
coordinating.
Well, I'll say this, it's not so much a coordination aspect. I performed a walkthrough with the bid and the folks who are working on that grant. They have questions about how to improve the space. There are limitations. You cannot, be on our infrastructure or anything like that. That's been communicated. So we're in touch as far as what they would like to do and being able to provide feedback on what's permissible as far as the MTA is concerned. And obviously they have to consult with DOT on what's, same process on that side too. But I am in touch with them on their side.
Okay, could I also ask, so, if this project opens up any opportunities for public access to electricity? That be prioritized, like for music or public
We
events?
don't allow the tapping into our electricity.
Okay. But worth asking.
Thank you. If there are no further questions on the.
Sorry, if I,
Yeah, Matthew, it's board members only. I will allow a quick question if you have.
oh no, that's fine. I didn't realize it was board members only.
Do you have a quick question that might help us?
The question was, when is the MTA announcing the next tranche of station upgrades? I'm at 40th Street and I was just curious about my station.
Do you mean like our next package of ADA improvements?
Yeah, just like when might it be announced?
We're still coordinating that. That's TBD. I don't know, maybe for another month or so.
Yeah, we have a ways to go, as far as any public launchings that might pertain to our next capital, plan. We have heard feedback from others about the 40th Street Station as well, so it's been noted. Like with any station, once we find out that it's been identified, we share that it's good news, so we will make sure that that's communicated, but nothing to share at the moment, but we will add your feedback as well to the pile that we've received already on 40th Street.
Thank you.
You haven't finished this project before something like 40th Street gets going? Or is that-
In this particular case, we would not want to begin any sort of work, well, not that we would, the timeline wouldn't allow for it, but if
Yeah.
we were to work on 40th Street at the same time, you would have massive inconvenience. to the
Right,
community.
so
we would not.
basically.
We're way out from the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we'd have to award it and everything first. We can't just say like,
Oh.
great and talk
Oh,
about it in there.
it certainly be-
So we have one more update. I do want to let,
Can we put in a good word for 52nd Street also?
you put in all the good words that you want to. I want to thank Deborah and Wael. We have one more presentation that is not concerning ADA. I just want to give them a chance
Yeah, thank you guys.
to head home if they want to. I don't want to keep them so it's up to you. Because our last
Just be
update.
another 10 minutes.
Oh,
Okay.
Let's stay.
We don't want to be
So-
disruptive.
Yeah, we
If
stay.
no further questions, we're gonna head over to CBTC. Okay.
Yeah, please, thank
Okay.
you.
What's this update?
So the last time we were
Tell us
here,
ahead of time, so
the last
it's
time
not
we
on
were.
the agenda, so make it clear that, do we have it as a question?
We're going to do.
Yeah,
this.
remember we,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
asked if it was all right to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we were here last time to give a thorough presentation on the crosstown signal upgrades. So this is just a follow-up because we do have a pretty
Wonderful.
intensive shuttle bus operation that's going to be taking place, so that's what that's about.
Okay, so, yeah, we saw a lot of this presentation, so I'm gonna just run super quickly through the beginning and, hopefully avoid that.
Can you send us all the presentations electronically? and
I
can share
will,
them with the family?
it might have not gone through while I was here, so I'm gonna double check, but you will have all of them.
Yeah, that's okay. If you send it tomorrow, that's fine.
Okay, so. Let's see what we. Oh, actually, I am gonna, I'm not gonna share it. Not gonna work, alright. Okay, I do have some handouts. We're gonna go over these super quick. We already talked about this, so I would love, yeah. Crazy, okay. Wait, how did that, who's sharing that, you?
It's my phone. Don't question it, because then it won't work.
Oh, like, I don't look at it. Okay.
Sure, the back end.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, great. Okay, so because we already presented on this, I'm really just gonna walk through it and I would like to reserve questions on the new stuff. So, again, my name is Kana Urban, representing MTA C&D. This is a really exciting signal modernization program. We've come to this committee board before, just talking about the benefits of communications-based train control, CBTC, how it will result in a faster, better G-Ride. Hit the next one. Oh, great. Sorry, next slide. So we awarded this in December 2022 and real construction work started last year. And you may have been seeing some of the new cable management rack system that's hanging on the ceiling in between the tracks. So that's just the first visible part of construction, but that is a new and innovative way that we're going to be managing the communications wires. And I think we're gonna actually be putting out some content when the as we're preparing for the actual shutdown, that can talk about like the benefits of some of this new technology. We'll just flip through the next slide. So yeah, we have this nice animation that we're not gonna play now, but our legacy system, it's basically made up of block technology. So every so often along the line, there are signals that indicate where a train is at a given moment. It's a marvel of 20th century technology, but it has a lot of disadvantages when you compare it to CBTC. And because of the disadvantages, we have to run trains more conservatively, which means slower and just that like lower frequencies. So CBTC is going to allow the trains to communicate with one another and talk to our real command center. So why the G train? These are signals that are from the 1930s, really, really old from the FDR administration. They're really beginning to show its age, as the train riders know. And we've completed CBTC on the 7 and the L, and that dramatically increased their on-time performance. We're really excited about the same benefits over into the G. Yep, thanks. So scope, it's along the entire 11.4 mile line. It's a really big project made up of a lot of complex moving parts. So as we're installing the signal equipment, we're making the service outages as well, and we're replacing a very, very large amount of track, 30 miles of track. We're also upgrading the big switches, which allow the trains to move from one track to the other. So as I said, when we were talking about the ADA projects, this is a design build project. So this really symbolizes not just the way of modernizing our physical infrastructure, but how we're executing these projects better, faster, cheaper. This is our very first design build CBTC contract. And again, it brings on the builder earlier in the process. It's helped us to reduce back of house space and rely less on equipment installed directly on the tracks, which also makes it easier to maintain and cheaper to build. So, okay, well, we're just gonna keep going because you guys have seen this before. So this work does require service outages. It's a very complicated project. We're working directly on the tracks. We're replacing these big knuckle switches. You can't do it, in pieces, which is why we do require these long-term outages rather than, the weekend outages that everyone along the G is accustomed to. Another challenge is that by installing the new switches that are compatible with the new technology, we actually have to change the geometry and the layout of the tracks themselves. So there will be weekends during these 24/7 outages where we are completely demoing the entire concrete foundation and relaying the track, like brand new track, and reconfiguring like the turns and everything. So unfortunately can't run service at the same time. But by our calculations, it is much more efficient, cost, and convenience to customers, many other ways to do this long-term service outage than to do at least 40+ weekends of outage. And really, you couldn't even really run very good service. If you theoretically did try to do this over the weekends, it'd be bare bones. And just cost, I think it would cost like over $10 million more just to extend the project. So this is a much more efficient way. So similar to ADA projects, this is just MTA construction and development joint venture with New York City Transit. But when we do have these long-term service outages, we do our best to staff those benefits so that when customers return to the stations, it's just an improved station environment. They get better lighting, etc. New York City Transit has dubbed that renovations. So that's their phrase for basically repainting, fixing piles, power washing, which every station does get power washed every 30 days anyway. But we're going to be cleaning every impacted station, and we're also going to be doing at least 5 renovations along the G line, and hopefully more to come. We're just going to see how we can put those. So some customer impacts. So we know that again, there's going to be some service outages here. We are currently in the phase of overnight shutdowns.
So if we try to take the G, I think past 9:45, it's been out in certain areas of the line. And that's really just to do preparation for this 24/7 outage that we have coming on in late June. Okay, great. So how are we going to be replacing this service? So we know that we need to be transparent and, you know, this is a huge project. It is going to have inconvenience to customers during the 6 weeks of outage. But we have a really robust shuttle program that we are very confident in executing, and we've worked very closely with DOT to make this as successful and as expedient as possible. So we have a small army of over 100 shuttle buses ready to go when the 24/7 shutdown does come. It's going to be separated into 3 phases. This neighborhood, I think, will be impacted by 2 of them. But we'll have shuttles running as frequently as every minute during rush hours, during rush hour traffic, and then actually much more quickly and much more frequently than the G train does during weekends and at nights as well. And this really draws on a similar plan that we did after Sandy, when we had to make big repairs in the Green Point Tube. And we're not expecting anyone to sing our praises with these shuttle buses. We know that they're obviously less popular than subway service, but we did get a lot of feedback from especially Greenpoint residents and just, you know, folks who are affected by that northern part of the G, saying that they love the shuttles because they came a lot more frequently than the train does itself. Of course, when CBTC is done, it will come much faster, it'll be a smoother ride, and it will just be an overall huge improvement. I think this is the biggest improvement that the MTA has made on the G to date. Okay, great. 24/7 shutdown. So this, I think, is the newer part. So this is phase 1. This starts on June 28th until July 5th. So this first phase affects this area. So there will be no G service between Court Square and Nassau Ave. There will be a free shuttle bus operating between Court Square and Nassau. G service will remain active between Church Ave and Nassau, and there's going to be 3 out-of-system transfers. And the JZ, we're going to be running local so that those transfers will be much faster, and there's just gonna be more of them. So we'll be running express. Okay, so now we're gonna be just looking at the maps of the shuttle bus, the replacement of service. So we've broken it up into northbound and southbound. Northbound, we're going to be running buses again from Court Square to Nassau. There's going to be 5 stops, and just for the convenience of riders and for familiarity, these stops are going to be right in front of the stations themselves. So that map might not do a good job of showing it, but we wanted to make sure that it's just easiest for people to catch those connections, and we will have adequate signage. I take a shuttle bus along Eastern Parkway a lot, and we have those like in the station, those big signs that we'll be taping. And of course, we have tape ones that we're preparing for station agents to give to folks in the weeks leading up. I think we're almost done with that, and we're also going to be doing in-station announcements. And of course, I also really encourage people to sign up for the G alert. So if you have a smartphone, or you can sign up with email alerts, you can get those real-time updates too. So we'll go to southbound. So the one key difference on southbound is from northern constituents, we did get some feedback. So southbound buses will be turning on Freeman from McGinnis Boulevard, which means that they'll make a northern stop. Actually, I think it's on India Street for folks who are using the Greenpoint Ave, just so they don't have to. I think we're supplementing it with that stop. And a lot of this has been, it's very, very complicated with traffic patterns. Again, really working hand in hand with DOT to coordinate, different turn patterns, and we'll get into some of the other mitigations that we're implementing to make this as successful as possible. So we'll go to phase 2 now. So this is a more impactful set of stations. Again, so no G service between Court Square and Bedford Nostrand. We're running that fare-free shuttle bus.
during that time. And again, Jay-Z making local stops between Myrtle and Mercy Ave to provide that more frequent connection. G-Service will be running from Church Ave up to Bedford Nostrand. Yeah. And then we're just gonna, for each phase, we have our shuttle bus replacement. Northbound route. Yeah, okay, sorry, northbound. So similar, you know, it extends down to Union, so it's just an extension of phase one. And terminates at Bedford Nostrand. And the southbound. The southbound is, yeah, in that area, we still have that India Street stop that we've added, same as the first phase, so it's just an extension. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is our third and final phase, phase three. You all aren't impacted by this one necessarily, so that's great news for you. So the G-Service will still be maintained between Court Square and Bedford Nostrand, so those sections will be completed by phase three, which starts August 12th. And service will be out between Court Square, or I'm sorry, between Bedford Nostrand and Church Ave. But we that part is a little bit less impacted because the F will also be running. And next one, we'll just through these slides. So northbound, and you can go to southbound. Okay, great. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention, sorry. We are running in phase three, we are running it to J Street Metro Tech so that folks can get that transfer to the app easier. Okay, next one. Okay, so again, like I said, we have a very, very large amount of shuttle buses that we're dedicating to replace the service. We also are staging this project during the summer on purpose. So, you know, ridership tends to be lower, school is out, and I think even street traffic tends to be like 10 to 15% lower during the summer. So this was planned to, you know, mesh with that. And I think we can go to the next slide. Awesome. So it's so fortuitous that we have someone from DOT here because I wasn't able to get anyone else from DOT to come, but I know you might not have come to this project, but we know that the buses are really only as effective if we can keep them moving frequently. So we have been looking at the right tools to get people where they need to go and keep these buses moving on time. We have some basic nuts and bolts tools here. We're clearing curb space, so that means when we have these new stops, we're going to be doing some daylighting, just clearing the area to help buses make turns. And also in the phase three, we're having some temporary bus lanes as well, so the curb sets will be temporary busways. We have some turn restrictions. We'll just flick through really quickly. It's really mostly the turn restrictions are primarily focused on Manhattan Avenue. So if you are taking the G to Williamsburg, that will, I mean, unless you're driving there, that will really affect you. But that's where the turn restrictions are, just to reduce the traffic volume along Manhattan Ave, because we know that that's a really congested street. We are implementing loading zones, and by we, I really mean DMT, because they're going to be really helpful partners on this to make this as successful as possible. We're also going to be making some changes to traffic signals. So bus, either queue jump signals, so that buses have right of way. And of course, monitoring and enforcement. So these only work as well if we have some sort of way to, you know, enforce these rules. We want to make sure that there's some sort of consequence if drivers are totally flouting the busways. And also just providing a lot of, you know, constant reminders to drivers, because this is going to be a new route that they're going to have to get used to in the summer. Okay. So turn restrictions, again, this is really just like nitty gritty for North Brooklyn. We had a town hall a few days ago, so we can gloss over that. These are some examples of loading zones in North Brooklyn. But we are going to be also having them sprinkled throughout. And then I added a bullet point about where they're going to be in phase 3, but of course, that's much farther south of this part of the G. This is just a continuation of really just phase 3. I just wanted to make this a robust presentation, so this is going to be in the southernmost area, but these are the temporary bus lanes that I was talking about. Those are their slides, right? These are the Q jump signals. So I don't know if you know a lot about these, but when I usually present this, we have our reporters at DOT and they can explain more of the technical ways that they do some of these traffic signal modifications, but I think the gist of it is that it helps to prioritize bus movement and bus turning. And then,
I mean, I can.
oh yeah, please,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah, a lot of this is in Brooklyn, and I'm in the Queens office, but
Yeah.
yeah, Q jumps are essentially, you've seen there, we do have a few around Queens. Q jumps are an additional signal on the intersection. Usually, it's for if we have a very short curbside bus lane or a bus stop at the corner, it allows the buses to kind of jump around the queue and get a head start. It's about no more than like 5 seconds that the bus gets to go first, and then that way after that intersection turns green, let everyone else there. We got examples on, if anyone's over on Union Turnpike by a Stop and Shop, whatever the Woodhaven Boulevard is, that's like a good spot where we have one.
And then this is the temporary bus lane that I was mentioning. So we have 2 of them. And you know, DOT, our Brooklyn DOT members could probably talk about this at length, but this is just another mitigation and really just showing that we are working hand in hand with all of our resources on the table, all the agencies that touch this this service replacement. And then I think one thing that's not on the slide explicitly is we're also working with the Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment. They have their own like kind of hotspot map where they know like there's a lot of requests to do filming in certain areas. I don't know if it's as much.
You know,
Yeah, so, you know, you see them all over the place. They have those really large electric trucks and the whole, you know, like the entire circus comes to film. So basically, we've been talking with MOAM to ask them to extend some of those hotspots so that we can at least prioritize keeping the roads clear where the buses are going to be the most congested. And they've been really helpful with that. So we're hoping that they can update their hotspot map online and, you know, TBD on when that will be, but we're working on that. And enforcement, so we are working with the NYPD and of course, really like having a very close communication with local precincts. We're also dedicating a lot of MTA work power here. So we're supplementing it with our MTA Road Operations Division. And they're charged with keeping buses moving and keeping bus lanes clear. So they are authorized to give tickets. And we have our, you know, New York City Transit President Rich Davey likes to go out every once in a while and ticket cars parked in the bus lane. So we're gonna have all eyes and ears on the ground to make sure that you know, we can keep these lanes cleared. We're also, and this is in Northern Brooklyn, at least, so the B62 is one of the first buses that is equipped with ACE, the automatic camera enforcement. And I think we're just trying to get those rolled out on more buses, but that will be helpful in those congested areas. And of course, it's not here, but it is part of a network, so I'm sure it will also benefit this part of, you know, the G replacement service as well. Great, so we're getting to the final slides. So other service outages, this slide I added really just to like manage everyone's expectations. This 6-week shutdown is going to be the most disruptive part. I think that, you know, other phases where we will have to do some weekend outages, you know, just other sort of work as needed, those will be affecting like people's daily commute. This is going to be the most impactful. So we just want to let you know when we do know much farther down the road after the CBTC 6-week portion has been completed, when we do know there's going to be more outages, we'll make everyone aware of those. And we have, of course, our wonderful GCR rep Megan who will communicate that for us. Yeah, and so In summary, it's a very complicated project, but we feel very confident in our ability to execute not just the construction on time. We are all hands on deck within MTA. I can tell you that for sure. We have named, like dubbed a G-Train czar. So we have someone who is dedicated to making this project a success. Similar to a project CEO, which we have on, we're actually implementing that on a lot of projects. And that's like a new management strategy that we're using in a lot of C&D projects, just to keep accountability like centralized in one area. So we don't have different contractors trying to compete for the same resources. So that is a dedicated person to oversee all operations. So if you probably will see him out and about, he's going to be at every shuttle bus stop. So I think that wraps it up. That's the last slide. Yeah, and that's just our project hotline and email. And then I encourage everyone to sign up for alerts. So you'll have to make like an account. But if you just click G-Train and you'll get real time updates. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So we requested dedicated bus lanes in CB2. How come we're not getting them at this point?
I mean, so DOT can answer that, but really it's because this is a 6-week operation, and really in this area, it's even less than that. It's 4 weeks.
Yeah, and it's a little difficult when we have, you know, the project so imminent and the fact that it is a temporary program. You know, a lot of times when we do have our transit projects, it is a little bit of a lengthy timeline to design and plan and then implement. And it might not be completely compatible with the timeline that MTA has, especially because this is a temporary route that's happening. But again, whatever, you know, small improvements that are happening on the Brooklyn side, you know, I can speak with our transit development team, see what we can, you know, get going on this side of the border. But yeah, that's definitely something we can continue having a conversation about.
Yeah, I think we should revisit that. Also, do you have any updates on whether or not you're looking to extend the G to Forest Hills?
No, it's the same answer as last time. We're not looking, if we were to do it, it would come at the expense of other service. But that's something that we're looking at right now. But it's something that our operations planning team is well aware of, that there's a lot of interest in, especially in light of this project coming.
So question about the replacement buses, are they gonna have the GTFS data like up, so the apps can see them? Okay. I feel like in the past, like my navigation apps haven't suggested taking the shuttle buses. They could have just been a fluke. I just wanted to and then in terms of the restricted turns, is that just for motor vehicles or does that include bicycles? Because okay, good, because a couple of those turns are on designated bike routes. So
Yeah, it's really just to divert the vehicle traffic, so that we're, you know, I think we're diverting like a very, very large percentage away from Manhattan Ave so that it can work faster.
Great.
Yeah.
So when phase 3 starts, that means you will be running at the other? Okay. And you said from Port to Bedford?
Phase 3 Port to,
No, phase 2 would be Port to Bedford, then would be running again.
phase 2 is,
Between Port and Bedford.
yeah, no G service.
No G service?
Yeah.
During phase 3?
During phase 2.
Okay, yeah. But once phase 3 happens, then that will.
You'll have your regular, yes.
And, knowing the really important stops like Port, where everybody's getting on, or other Port stops like J Street, will they be having extra buses there? Knowing that there's gonna be a real influx of people coming off some other line?
I don't know if they're having any more buses, but at the terminal points, I think that they probably will have more buses stacked. I'm gonna ask.
There'll still be a turnaround from south to north.
Yeah, you can actually, if we go, you can see the turning road. Well, it's reading now. But in that handout, it's really tiny.
Yeah.
You can see the turning point. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try to show you. It's but when we email it around, you can see. I mean, I can ask to see if there's gonna be more buses at Foursquare.
Yeah. With the buses gonna come on, but I thought maybe because it's a terminus, they would have, just waiting for the people to come on.
Well, we've done that elsewhere, like when we've had, shuttle bus operations for Queensboro Plaza. The buses are generally there waiting, ready to go. Okay. So it should be the same order of operations and in the very beginning of this I mean, there's always gonna be people on site to make sure things are running smoothly, but in the very beginning, it's gonna be a flood of people in safety vests. Making sure
Getting
that
used to
buses,
it.
yeah, between wayfinding and making sure that bus operators have their support, customers know where to go, there'll be people there.
Because there will be people.
Absolutely, yeah.
Also, Queensboro Plaza, is everything wrapped up?
Just by September.
Well, we just want to make sure that by June 28th, we don't have closures there, knocking out the 7 and then into Manhattan or, while this begins.
The main closures that were in place for the Queensboro Plaza work have already been completed. You might find some one-offs here and there, but again, it's taken into account against the planning that happens on this end. So I think this goes back to that balancing act, but those pretty disruptive transformations we had in the beginning of the year, those are over.
I will say the signage for the shuttle operations for that were excellent.
Great.
Wish the
Thank you.
buses had bus lanes to move faster.
Thank you. Yeah, so, and we learn, from that to make sure that it's implemented in a similar fashion, but it's thank you for that.
Thank you so much. You've been so good. Even though they'll not allow our presentation, so we thank you very, very much.
We ate up a lot of your time.
That's
I want to say thank you.
Oh,
I mentioned to maybe when I got here, but I want to let folks know the graffiti across the street is in the queue for painting. I'm hoping soon you'll look out the window and you'll see a nice perfect. If a week passes and that's not the case, find me and I'll go back and check, but I think. You know how to find me.
Thank you.
I'll make sure you have these shared.
Great, that would be great, and I'll just send them to you.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all good news. We really appreciate it.
I feel like every time I'm here, I'm getting green.
Did you want to say, wait, Tom or Warren, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. Just a point of order for the chair. As it relates to the remaining agenda, I just respectfully request that we leave enough time at the end to ensure that we can talk new business. I have one item to introduce and I don't want to be shortchanged. Thank you, Chair.
A very short time, so.
I understand. I'm just respectfully requesting that we manage the agenda, not to shortchange the new item. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
I plan to head to the suite, so don't worry. Yeah.
Well, we hope you have good updates, Joe.
Of course.
We're waiting a long time for some of the updates.
So moving on from MTA to DOT, thank you.
Thank you for filling in.
Joe, more good news.
Yes, so I wanted to run really quickly through the update on the agenda, and I also had, the main news I had was some of the status updates for the projects that we presented on last meeting that we're going to be implementing soon. So I did just want to go through some of the items quick. So for the request for 60th Street, 37th Avenue, I did check on that. That's still open in review with that signals division. They're still setting that intersection. As for the Hollywood Lights signage request for Center Boulevard, I know we received a letter recently regarding some of the finding some kind of dedicated space for vending trucks, I believe. So that is a conversation we're gonna have to get started with parks in that location. So that's something we'll have to keep you all updated on as the conversation moves forward. As for the work, as for any changes on Crescent Street and Court Square, I did check in again with the unit for that, and it is still expected for this year. That just has to go through finalizing with our geometric design unit who approves any marking changes for the streets there. As for Blissville in general and the review boarding project. So we've been doing a little more studying of the area. We've been having some really healthy discussions with Long Island City Partnership and the local businesses there to just make sure it all meshes well with the built environment of the area. I know we've heard some concerns about conflicts with truck traffic in the area, because as you know, it's a very heavily used industrial corridor. So that's something we want to be mindful of when we're implementing this project. And I'm going to be talking with the project team as soon as possible about some of those things, where there could be potential conflict points. And also especially doing some more outreach for the later phases of that project. So that's something we're going to be paying close attention to for the next few months, and then especially after implementation for that project. And also for our other big project, Queens Boulevard, we are also doing some more outreach with local businesses there. We've been working closely with Sunnyside Shines to get in touch with some of the businesses there, make sure we're having there's a lot of awareness of the project, trying to get some final feedback to inform the design before implementation. And also for Queens Boulevard, as MTA said, we're working closely with them to make sure our work meshes all together correctly. We're going to be having an onsite soon with
The
our
community board should be included in the onsite.
yeah, and we're in close communication with our RS team who presented last month on the project with that roadway maintenance team. Just make sure that there's no conflicts with any kind of road work, the MTA's work also. So that's something we're going to be paying close attention to. And if there's any questions?
Tom's got a question, Tom?
Yes.
Thank you, Joe. One specific item and then one broad stroke. I again bring your attention to the intersection of Greenpoint and Star. That intersection is not part of the scope of the Borden Review Avenue project. And this, I'm sorry?
It actually is part of the scope. As part of the project, there is an existing shared lane on Greenpoint Ave. And so what's going to be happening at Greenpoint and Star, there's going to be a contraflow bike lane at the curbside that we've been discussing at that intersection. So that's going to get time to for anyone coming down Greenpoint Ave. Originally, they would have to make a quick right and left. Now they'll be able to continue, if they're on a bicycle, they'll be able to continue straight through there and then onto the Greenpoint Avenue Bridge.
Thank you. And then my specific questions as it relates to that intersection relates to two of DOT's own programs, the Safe Route to Transit program and the DOT pedestrian ramp program. This intersection has no pedestrian ramps. It is an intersection that has the B24 stop on it, which is frequented by our residents, our workers, and our residents of our shelters. It seems incomprehensible to me that we have an intersection that serves the 24 bus, yet has no ramps. And we've asked for treatment of this intersection to make it safer for people to cross the street. So I appreciate the bicycle infrastructure update, but we need stuff to help our pedestrians at this intersection. Thank you.
And I'm going to be, confirming with the project team the exact design that's going to be for that intersection. To see,
Thank you.
Whatever pedestrian improvements that could be there. So I'll be in.
If you need any help, I'm there with you, Joe. I'll help them formulate some ideas. Second is the more broader item, which is pedestrian ramp program in Blissville. We did our own census. Do you realize that half of the intersections in Blissville have not been treated? This is surprising to me since we've increased the density of people living in Blissville by 100%. We've doubled the population since 2018, doubled the population with individuals that use equipment to help them with mobility, yet half of the intersections do not have ramps. Where are we with the update for the ramps for our people?
That I'm going to have to be checking with our PedRamp group about. Because
I have the list of the 15 intersections that are rampless. I can send you.
course, appreciate that, if you could.
Thank you. That's all I had today. And the only other question had to do with Wynwood Gardens. I again implore you, I know we sent a letter last week. It's impossible to exit onto Tyler from any of the side streets. The trucks parked at the daylighting where it has the sign that says no parking. We need some hardened daylighting there because no one pays attention to the signs. Most of the signs are hidden by trees, and it's impossible to make a right or left off of the streets onto Tyler. Thank you. That's all my comments today, except for the new business. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
And Laura?
Yes, do you have any updates on the Thompson Avenue portion of the Queens Boulevard project?
So for the Thompson Avenue portion, that is essentially going to be treated as a separate project, and that is very early on in the design. So we'll definitely be letting you know once we find out more from the project team, because I'm still finding out a lot myself from the project. But it is essentially going to be similar to what was shown design-wise. But that is likely going to be a lot further down the pipeline than these projects.
Okay, also, do you have a specific opening date for the South Adder roadway?
It's still essentially end of summer, from our last update.
Ask.
Of course.
And do you have any update on the Queens Boulevard Capital Project from Roosevelt to 73rd?
That I'm gonna have to check in with the project teams who's handling this current street improvement project. But for what I know, that is still moving forward. You know, from the last updates that we've had for that.
You mean with the raised bus bike lane?
Yeah, the you know, complete reconstruction of the street, yeah. Like east of.
50th Street.
East of 50th Street, yeah.
Yeah.
Patricia?
Parking, correct me if I'm wrong. I think, I seem to remember from last week that meter parking was only going to be on the north side of the boulevard.
Meter parking?
Yeah.
No,
I
meter
have that
parking
note somewhere,
no, meter parking is going to continue to be on both sides of Queens Boulevard.
both sides, but the
Yeah.
north side is going to be one less lane.
Only in that section, well, are you talking about our project or Antina's project? Or,
No. I don't know.
The project is 46.
I mean, they seem to be.
So-
merging.
yeah, so just to recap, for our project for Queens Boulevard, it's gonna be, you know, repurposing one of the travel lanes for a bike lane. And it's going to have the parking, you know, pushed out from the
Second
curb.
lane.
Yeah, it's gonna be the second lane, and what that's gonna do is that it's going to actually allow the curbside parking to be full-time. Because right now it's considered a travel lane during rush hours. So that's going to allow it to be meter parking all day.
So they're eliminating the rush hour
Yeah, they're eliminating the rush hour
and
rates,
parking on both sides.
parking on both sides,
Okay, so
Yeah.
now,
and on the north and south roadway.
on the left, okay,
Yes,
so this on 25. It says parking of, page 25, parking regulations should be maintained underneath the 7 train. So now how is that going to go with what they're doing? Patricia, you have to speak up a little bit. I'm sorry. From last night, last week's, Queens Boulevard project, it says that they're allowing, they're saying that there's going to be sufficient parking under the L. So now it seems with their project, they are pedestrianizing whatever they're going to be constructing
Yeah.
under the L and getting rid of the parking.
only in those sections, only in the section where they're required, where they are going to be building. So,
So part of the 46th Street station around where the elevator is going down towards 45th and 44th, they will still be having their meters, which will probably
Yeah.
be that 4-hour meters.
yeah, all of the, you know, all of the area that's not required for the footprint of the elevator is still going to be maintained as parking. And, you know, there are several different lots along the entire length of the L that are all parking lots. So those will be maintained.
Okay. Great, thank you. I'm sorry, any update on the traffic light on 49th Street and 43rd Avenue?
From what I understand, that one is still active in with the signals unit, and you said 49th and 43rd.
49th Street,
49th, okay.
43rd Avenue.
Yeah, that one is still active. to my knowledge, but. Should there be any updates from now to next meeting, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. Actually, with regard to that area, 43rd Ave, the 43rd Avenue bike lane is actually pretty rough over there.
Okay.
Do we potentially put in for milling and repaving?
Yeah, we can definitely get a case started for that. Is there the specific section of 43rd?
Yeah, from 48th Street up to, up to Roosevelt.
Okay.
Or actually even to 51st. I think it's okay after that.
Sure, oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's nice having that.
yeah.
There's also a pretty significant pothole on Skillman, the other half of that couplet. I don't know if that's too far from project area, but it's right at the curb ramp, so it's pretty dangerous. It's Skillman and Honeywood.
Yes.
Oh,
The
yeah.
bridge is
Yeah,
destroyed.
They still want
thing
to
is,
bring up
I need to take a photo.
resurfacing from, I want to say from, 40th to 50th on the service road. I think it's called.
40 to 50, okay. Yeah, from,
I've been told it's a capital project forever, but
Yeah.
doing all this and, come on, it needs a little love over that.
yeah, we can definitely do,
There was some construction and some construction company did a little tiny strip, am I correct? Over there. So
Yeah.
they broke up the road and they fixed it. So we're asking DOT to do the strip at least.
that's something I'll have to talk with the road and think about, what we need on that, of
Well, that's important.
course. And it's 40.
You're finished, Mark?
No, I have a couple of those. I just want to reiterate, that request for consideration of bus lanes at Queens Boulevard. So I know there's gonna be a lot of work in that area, but
Yeah.
for final build out as a final layout. And then I'm still a little confused about exactly, I know that they're doing work, like, they're looking at work on Thompson Ave. But just the exact extent of that, is it gonna go into the bridge or just terminate at Skillman? Is the segment of Skillman that meets Thompson gonna get worked on? Just if you could get some clarification.
Yeah, of course, and as I was saying, it's still very early on in the design, but the goal is to have it stretch from Van Dam and Queens Boulevard into the Long Island City Core.
And then we'll come back to the board and do the presentation, yes?
Right.
Of course, once we get a, more solid design, we'll be coming back. And, the goal is to connect that with the existing network that's in, downtown Long Island City.
If the ultimate goal is to connect to Van Dam and the two-way bike lane is on the north side of Thompson, there's gonna be like a lot of turning conflicts with those on ramps, so
Of course, yeah, we're very mindful of that.
Okay.
And that's definitely something we're gonna have to be very considerate about, with the design of that project. And, who knows what we'll see with, how the volume change with congestion pricing, so.
great.
But again, regardless, it's still going to be a heavy turn volume no matter what. So that's something we have to be very careful about.
On 43rd Avenue, the situation is getting worse where drivers are parking in every single turn lane along 43rd Avenue.
Okay.
From 39th Street to 48th Street. They park there either overnight or whatever, or they park there to go into a laundromat. But that just means that every turn lane has a car parked in it. And so every intersection a bicyclist approaches is a blind intersection where a driver's making a right turn from the outside lane. Consistently, I take that route every day. So I think it needs review and it needs hardening to keep drivers out of the turn lanes.
Affected
Along
intersections.
along those lines, that tire shop that's on 39th Street at 43rd Ave.
Yeah.
I mean, they live on the sidewalks. Enforcement, it's not necessarily a DOT thing. They park there, it's dreadful. But actually, I really wanted to raise another issue. And that has to do with the implementation of increased LPIs, pedestrian intervals. And I had one particular place, I was absolutely horrified. When I was driving out Woodside Ave, and I needed to make a right turn on Northern Boulevard. Light changed, and I saw pedestrians starting from way over the other side. No lead pedestrian interval at all. I mean, that's really awful because I mean, Northern Boulevard, you know about the 9-year-old boy that was killed on Northern a couple of years ago, Giovanni Ampuero. And why? It's such a simple thing to implement. How come we don't have that there?
Yeah, I can check if there was any previous cases for that, and if not, I can get, we can.
I mean, that's
get-
one, but I would like to see a review of LPI on the arterial roads, particularly, I
Yeah.
mean, Northern Queens Boulevard, they should all have.
Yeah, I
That
know.
should be a priority, am I right? I mean,
Yeah, I've asked about Woodside, before.
Hmm?
Woodside and bottom. That's the-
what?
or is that what-
Yeah,
with the-
that's the one I'm talking about.
I've asked a couple times, but I never actually sent the letter. But now that the high school is gonna be open next year, there's gonna be a lot more students.
High school and the MR station.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something I can look and see if there was any, previous looks at it. If not, we can get, a new request.
but
on
also-
it.
So,
I mean-
then you'll look at it for speed.
Yeah, because I know whenever there's, a large new
That
development.
vision
there's-
zero, right? goes
Yeah,
in.
there's gotta be like environmental impacts, whenever there's a big.
From
new
lead
development.
pedestrian interval?
No, I'm just saying whenever there's, new development, there's always a look at.
Oh, you're talking about the high school?
Yeah, we always take a look at, there being an increase in the traffic flow in those areas, but, LPIs are fairly simple compared to that, so we can definitely look into that. I know a good portion of Northern does have it, so much Surprise that it doesn't have it at that.
Yeah, I was
intersection.
shocked because I thought it would, but I
Yeah.
think maybe a review of the arterial roads for that purpose.
Yeah, of
And,
course.
all the intersections of crossing. I mean, mostly where the pedestrians are crossing the largest route.
Of course.
All right, we're gonna try to wrap things up, move on to new business. All good, Joe?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you very much for all your
Yeah.
work. We're excited for all the things DOT is doing.
Of course, that's
It seems like a very busy summer. Everybody.
extremely busy implementation. I'm working on several projects in every board I cover, so
Yeah.
it's been a lot, but it's
How many
been
boards
rewarding.
you got?
3, 1, 2, and 5. So we have.
Well, Tom may have something for Joe, so.
Yeah, let's get that first.
We're moving on to new business. Tom, do you wanna go?
Thank you very much. Chair, in March of this year, I had presented an item that I'd like to be added to the agenda, which is the 2024 street plan. And my specific concerns there relate to the lack of projects identified for Community Board 2, just 2. One being on Vernon and the other one being on Court Square. Both areas that have received heavy investments from DOT previously. Second is the tier established by DOT, which placed all of Community Board 2 in tier 3, which was the lowest needed for infrastructure. And I question that because it seems to mix heavily invested areas of CB2 with very low invested areas of CB2, yet the entire Community Board 2 was labeled tier 3. This is quite relevant as it relates to Intro 1126, which was enacted into law by the City Council in October 2023, requiring DOT by 2026 to identify how they are going to fund areas that have been received lower investments by DOT. I think this is a ripe discussion item for this committee. I question if we have this law coming into 2026, which requires by law DOT to put a plan together for underinvested areas. Yet they self-develop a tier which identifies all of Community Board 2 as not needing investment in the 2024 plan. I really would like to see this item on the agenda because there are areas in Community Board 2 which are underinvested by DOT. And we need to understand how are they going to approach this by law in 2026. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Tom.
So my question to you specifically, Chair, is will we see this on the agenda item for this committee? And will we allow ample dialogue for it? because I am very concerned with how DOT will approach fulfilling their obligations under the law as we approach 2026.
Yes, we'll definitely get it on the agenda. I think it's definitely worthy of discussion. It seems like the last few meetings that I've chaired, we've had a lot of presentations that have not allowed a lot of discussion of things like this. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Chair.
And the streets plan is available to all of us. Maybe we could send it out to everybody on the committee so we could read it.
That's all I had.
Thank you. Any other new business? Laura?
Kind of a question for Joe, actually. Do you have any updates on the implementation of Sammy's Law, which would give New York City the ability to regulate speed limits?
That I'm gonna have to check in with the attorneys about. I haven't been giving any kind of specific like press release for any kind of implementation of it, but I'll be able to let you know what's it.
Okay, yeah, so at a future meeting, we would want to discuss.
Yeah.
I want to reinforce that point because part of the revisions that helped Sammy's Law finally get passed was that the community board should be consulted. And I would like I suspect that this community board will be very favorable to implementation of Sammy's Law, apart from the large Queens Boulevard and Northern and so on, which are exempted in the law as it was finally done. But I don't want you holding back, waiting to hear, from us. Please, if there's any chance to expedite the implementation as an individual on this committee. Certainly want to encourage.
Definitely have to have a lot of public conversation about that.
I mean,
So,
just do it.
yeah.
The maximum extent of the law.
The law is written, and now we have to make it happen.
One more thing. So the feedback portal for the Queens Waterfront Greenway just went up. Can you provide any additional outreach materials or?
Yeah, so I mean, we do have our own dedicated team for, the planning of the Waterfront Greenway, the whole initiative. At the moment, we are, compiling all the stakeholders that will be affected by the plan, so that's fairly early on in the process. But once we have more of a solid outreach plan, we'll be able to let you know about that.
Great, yeah, we're very excited about it.
Yeah, it's a very big project, so.
Just to tie on to Laura's comment, if I may, a broad comment as it relates to the project. We left out the entire southern border of Queens.
For the southern or?
In the survey, it only touches the north. There's no asking about the southern border.
Just a separate project. You have to.
Yeah, from what I believe,
define
it is a separate project.
Go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I look forward to phase 2 where I get to comment on the southern border.
Me too.
yes.
But that project is also slated for this season, this year, right?
No, it's the whole waterfront greenway.
Oh, I don't mean the whole waterfront, the Blissville, what we call sometimes the Blissville.
Yeah, the Borden review project.
Yes.
So the first phase is slated for this year.
Okay.
Yes. The portion from Borden to Kosciuszko Bridge.
Mhm.
Perfect. Excellent. All right, is that everything? Yeah. Great. Do we have a motion?
Make motion to adjourn.
Yeah, second.
I second.
Yeah, you want to do it. All right, motion to adjourn is seconded. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.